Hello guys, welcome back to another video on the cheap BMW E46 Touring. Before we get into things, make sure you hit the like button. It really does help me out and it's greatly appreciated. Now then, what is this video all about? So of course today we are going to be going over all of the issues with this car, and we're going to be going into the main issue of why this car was so cheap to buy. Okay, so as I mentioned in the previous video, we bought this car for £500, and the previous owner stated that it had a fuel pressure fault. Now after 30 minutes or so of driving, the car would almost randomly just cut out, stall, the engine would stop running, and obviously that's not a good thing, so we definitely want to try and get to the bottom of things. So I think what we're going to do is get ISTA hooked up and then see if we have any other fault codes which could point us in the right direction, but we're also going to go over some of the other problems that the car has as well. Now luckily I do have to hand the previous MOT. So this was done, when was this done? This was done in April of this year, so 4 months ago now, and we can see it obviously passed, but there was a couple of advisories. So just two advisories, nothing too worrying at all. Anti-roll bar ball joint has slight play offside front, that's more than likely a drop link. And then suspension arm ball joint has slight play near side front inner, so that is more than likely a wishbone, which we may look into replacing, or we may not. It may not even be a big issue at all. But one thing I do want to point out is that this car has had quite a lot of money spent on it over the recent years. We have a bunch of different receipts here for, well, one for a wheel bearing, crankshaft sensor, and there seems to be quite a few for rocker cover gasket, that's been done as well, brake fluid. I was going to say there's quite a few for various brake components. So it looks like we have handbrake shoes, a handbrake shoe kit, brake shields, and then various different discs and pads. I think the car has had brake shields all round, I think it's had discs all round, I think it's had pads all round, and I think it has also had the handbrake shoe assembly replaced as well. But one thing I have noticed, the handbrake doesn't seem to hold at all, so I think they just need adjusting, which is not a big issue. But yeah, looking in here you can see the discs are a little bit rusty, but there's no lip on them at all. You can tell they are brand new. You still have the original paint on the hub part of them, and yeah, the pads are virtually brand new as well, which is definitely a bonus. I did mention in the previous video as well that there was some slight rusting on the wheel arches, and like I said, I'll have the car up in the air, I'll give it a thorough deep clean inside and out and underneath, and then we'll get a better picture as to how bad the rust is. But yeah, I don't think it's bad at all, to be honest. Okay, so as you can see, we have ISTA now loaded up, have the ignition on, so we're just going to go complete identification, and this should bring up any fault codes in any of the car's modules. Now bear in mind, this is the first time doing it. I didn't opt to do this process when I was picking up the car. It is something I would recommend doing when buying any car, but I had pretty much already decided I was buying it sight unseen, so yeah, I didn't really leave myself with much choice. But yeah, this is gonna probably unearth some fault codes that we weren't expecting, but yeah, let's wait and find out. Okay, so vehicle test has finished, and yeah, as we can see down the bottom there, 22 faults in the fault memory, which I'm not really surprised with. It probably hasn't had any fault codes cleared recently, but let's have a look. We can see we have faults in the IHKA, the GM, the Combi, the DDE, and the LSZ. Right, let's try and find out what these fault codes actually are then. Okay then, so very interesting. The first fault code we have is the obligatory AUC sensor fault. It's in pretty much any BMW you jump in. The AUC sensor, it is the air quality control sensor essentially, and yeah, they just go bad. You have to replace them, but it's pretty much a guaranteed fault in any BMW. The next one is rail pressure plausibility pressure control, so that could possibly be something to do with our issue that we are experiencing. The next one, EGR control deviation. I'm not too concerned with that. I think that was more than likely when the previous owner removed the EGR blank and then reinstalled the EGR valve. I think that's probably why the check engine light is on when you switch the ignition on as well, so that'll probably go off once we clear that. Next few are interesting though. Glow plug, cylinder 1, 2, 3 and 4. If there is a fault code in all of the glow plugs, that would indicate that we have a bad glow plug module, so we may have to look into that. A few more interesting fault codes as well. Outside temperature sensor, that's nothing to be concerned with. Tank level or tank lever type sensor 2. I'm sure the previous owner said that he did replace the in-tank pump, so that may just be an old fault code with that. These bottom two, rail pressure plausibility pressure controlled, which I'm sure that was the exact same fault code as what was further up. Then we also have rail pressure monitoring on engine start. Okay, so I'm thinking we need to delve a little bit into these rail pressure faults, to be honest. Those are the fault codes, those bottom two. And then this one here, that was the rail pressure fault code. Okay, so to focus a little bit more into the rail pressure faults, I thought I would do the rail pressure control system test. So first thing it asks me is the tank empty and or was it driven empty? So we of course don't know if it was driven empty, but the tank isn't empty. It has, I'd say it has nearly a quarter of a tank actually, so I'm going to select no and we'll select continue. Fault code memory being read. A fault code is stored for the checked component group. The fault 4B90 can be caused by the following problems: faulty pre-supply system, air penetration due to driving with an empty tank, and air penetration due to repairs on the fuel system, or air leaks on the fuel system. Procedure for air in the fuel system: bleed the fuel system with a service function, bleed fuel system. For this, end the test module and continue with the modified test schedule. Then delete fault memory, start and stop the engine several times, read fault memory. When fault 4B90 is stored again, continue troubleshooting in this test procedure. Okay, so just continued in this procedure, and it is checking the rail pressure value now. It's got to be between 0 and 13 bar. As we can see, it is 2.1 bar, so that should be fine. Can the engine be started? Yes. Start engine and allow to reach operating temperature. Wait until coolant temperature has reached at least following value 70 degrees. Alright, let's get the engine fired up. Okay, so engine's now fired up. Like I said before, fires up straight away, no issues whatsoever. But we'll just wait for the coolant temperature to raise a little bit to 70 degrees, and we can continue with the test. The test is especially relevant with the following symptoms: engine stops after coasting, overrun mode or in idle but starts again. Fault entry 4560 or 4570. This actually sounds like our problem. The fuel quantity control valve is checked for jamming in the next test step. This is going to be interesting. The rail pressure is read out for a duration of approximately 20 seconds, and the difference between set point and actual value is determined for an engine at idle speed. And it's doing something. The revs have jumped up. Test is initiated. Test is running. Test finished. Set point actual value deviation minimal is minus 4.5 bar, and the deviation maximal is 4.3 bar. Permitted deviation plus or minus 20 bar, so yeah, we're well within the tolerances. Yeah, pretty much bang on for the targets. The fuel quantity control valve is activated at idle in the next test step. Set point engine shuts down due to activation. Run engine at idle speed. Yeah, activation is finished. Did the engine shut off? Well, yes it did. Establish the following conditions on the vehicle. Switch off terminal 15 and terminal R. Okay, let's do that now. Leave ignition switched off, which it is. Switch on terminal 15, okay. The precondition for the following measurement is that the engine starts up and runs at idle speed. Further preconditions for following test. Common rail system must have no leaks. I mean, we haven't physically checked that yet, but I don't believe there is any. Fuel level sufficient, which it is. No fault codes relating to fuel, rail pressure control valve, volume control valve, or rail pressure sensor stored. I think there is fault codes related to that, to be honest. The high pressure pump is checked in the next step. Okay, so I think it's pretty clear to see that we need to dive into things a little bit deeper. I'm not going to continue doing any more tests in this video. I need to sit down, do a little bit of research, and then find out what next step to take. But I think what I'm going to do, just to see what current fault codes we have, is just erase the fault memory and then fire the engine up and then see what fault codes return, just to kind of give us a good starting point. So delete fault memory. So just deleted the fault memory, and this is the fault codes that we still have present, all to do with the IHKA. And I think the reason for that is because this climate control panel has actually been replaced. I think in the glove box there is the original basic one, and it's kind of a common upgrade for people to upgrade it to this digital one. Obviously it looks a lot better, but I think for the AUC sensor in particular to work, I think it does need to be coded to the either the later style one or the previous style one. But yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not too concerned with that. Everything works as it should. You know, the demister, front and back, and the aircon, temperature, you know, blower motor, everything works as it should. So I'm not really concerned with that at the moment. But what we'll do is start the engine up and see if we have any engine fault code return. And we have no other fault codes returned, no engine fault codes returned at all, which is kind of annoying because we had so many before and now apparently there's none. So yeah, I think we're going to have to do a little bit more investigating to try and get to the bottom of our issue here. Okay, so I thought I'd just try and take it for a little bit of a test drive, and literally didn't get 5 meters and then the car just died. And now it doesn't want to restart, but what I can hear is the fuel pump going crazy. I don't know if you can hear that. But this could be something to do with our issue, or it could be nothing to do with our issue. Let's stop now. Let's now read the fault codes again, because that should come up with something now. rail pressure monitoring on engine start. So that's exactly what we're going to look at then. Okay, so just managed to get the car back onto the driveway. So went to fire the engine back up after it died and nothing, it just kept cranking and cranking and cranking. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a couple of minutes. Gave it a couple of minutes, went to fire it fired up, but then it died 2 seconds later. And then I thought, okay, I'll give it 5 or 10 minutes now, and did that, went to fire it fired up. I pulled it forward straight away, 5 or 6 feet back onto my driveway, and then it died once more. So I think I'm gonna leave it alone for now. I don't wanna waste any more of my time. I don't wanna waste any more of your guys' time. I need to do a little bit of research, and I think we need to you know, be clever with how we are going to proceed. There's no point just guessing and randomly swapping out parts left, right and center. If we do that, we're just going to burn up any profit that we potentially had in the car. Now, the car itself, I think, is a very, very good car. It doesn't have, you know, too many issues with it. There's a couple of minor cosmetic things, but I think it has been definitely well looked after from previous owners. I actually had a look off camera at a few of the filters, and it has man filters pretty much all round, which is a good sign because they are the OEM filters. You know, usually if a previous owner has abused a car and, you know, not really looked after it, the filters in there would be like an off-brand one that hadn't been changed in like forever. So yeah, I think we do have a good car in our hands now, but of course we do need to try and get to the bottom of the issue. Now, I think in the next video we'll start with the fault code that we have. Obviously that's the only thing we really have to go off. If I was to take an educated guess as to what I think the issue is, I would guess that we have air in the fuel system. Now, I know the previous owner did say that he replaced, I believe it was the fuel filter and the in-tank fuel pump. I'm not too sure if there was anything else in the fuel system, but what can sometimes happen is, especially when you're doing a fuel filter change, it's very easy to introduce air into the system. So I think what I'm going to do is do what Ista actually suggested, and that is to fill the fuel tank up to a quarter, because it's got to be over a quarter to save you damaging the in-tank pump. And then what we'll do is we'll bleed all of the air out of the system and see if that makes any difference whatsoever. So I'll probably have to add like a gallon or two of diesel, but then we'll be able to do that test, and then we'll be able to cancel out any air in the fuel system. At this point, I'm obviously all ears, so if you do have any thoughts, any suggestions, leave them down in the comments. I look forward to reading through a few of those. But yeah, I am going to leave this one here. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Please give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.